And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Go ahead and say it, Ed. Go Tigers!
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
You like that? You like that?
F it. Jamar's down there somewhere.
The New Orleans Saints select Marcus Davenport.
No!
Splash Brothers. Yeah.
It's playoff. Keep going, Brace.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Welcome to Chasing the Trophy Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Sanders, here with my good buddy, Clay Williams, the producer. And I think that's what your name's going to be, Clay. It's going to be the producer. I know that's kind of cliche.
I'm down with that.
But, I mean, that's what you are, but it's like, it's also kind of a nickname, you know.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Anyway, we're back at you guys. You know, we've already come out with our breakout player picks. And then I want to reiterate on that last episode, guys, and I want to apologize. I said we were doing our bust player picks next, and everybody's probably going to be looking out for the bust player episode. I was wrong. I had our sleeper player picks in for the next one, so that was my bad. So this episode, we're going to cover our sleeper picks, and we are really excited. This is always one that I really enjoy because it's like it's trying to pick that golden ticket, man, that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory golden ticket, trying to find that one, that Puka Nakua out there that is gonna take your team to the championship. I really enjoy that. So that's what this episode is going to be about. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about our sleeper picks description. And those are players to us that seem like they're being overlooked in drafts as far as their ADP. And we're taking into account their fantasy statistical and role experience as well as coming into the fantasy year in 2024. Just, you know, they're really good values in the mid to late rounds. And, you know, some of them are even ones like Puka Nakua from last year that could be fairly significant in their value and really carry your team. So we're trying to make some of those picks as we go through and help you out in your drafts with these picks. So I'm really excited to get this episode underway. And we're going to start it off as we always do with a word of prayer. And then we're going to go ahead and get right into our sponsors and then into the meat and potatoes. But dear Lord, just thank you for this opportunity and this blessing that you've just given us to be able to fellowship and then just talk about this wonderful game that you've given us the chance to watch and to just be a part of, Lord. And just thank you for giving us this platform and just please continue to let us just shine as a light for you and everything we do, glorify your name, Lord. Just please continue to be with the families and the community that lost that young boy in Weston, Lord, and just please be with them and comfort them and give them peace and just give them comfort knowing that he's there with you and rejoicing with you upstairs, Lord. And just also please be with the family, Crew Tidwell, as they're still going throughout their journey of treatments and just a long path that they're on, Lord. Just continue to let them be blessed to shine your light. Just give them comfort and peace and rest, Lord, as they go throughout this time of everything they're going through with Crew and his family, Lord. And just thank you for them, Lord. And just continue to be with us as we go, and just continue to let us glorify your name and shine a light for you, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. So jumping right on in, I want to thank our sponsors, Big Reed BBQ, Mimi's Children's Boutique, Doug Damona Farm and Feed, Crown Detailing, and Championship Carts. Our title sponsor for this episode is Crown Detailing. They offer mobile car detailing services, conveniently servicing your vehicle at your home or your workplace. They provide various services for cars, boats, campers, RVs, serving the Ruston and surrounding areas. And reserve your spot today by contacting them at 318-474-0859 or find them on Facebook by searching Crown Detailing. I'm pretty sure everybody wants to get their vehicles nice and cleaned up, school's starting back. So give these guys a call. They're supporting us. We'd really appreciate it if y'all would support them. And we just appreciate y'all, Crown Detailing. And rolling right on down. So this is our sleeper pod. Now, the next two pods are going to be bust picks and then bounce back players. Let me double check that order so I do not mistake that again.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yep. So, yep, that's right. Bust picks will be next, and then bounce back player picks. Thank you for keeping me in line, producer. So,
Gotcha.
anyway, so this episode we're going to cover 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. All that Clay and I are think being slept on in draft situations this year. And like I said on the last several pods, I'm going to keep it the same for this one. We're not going to cover any news or updates really at this time. We're just going to keep on rolling with our stuff. If it's injury related to what we're talking about, we will. Otherwise, we're going to wait and save that till closer to the season. So I'm going to go after all this talking. As y'all can hear, I'm still hoarse. So I'm going to let Clay go ahead and kick it off with his quarterbacks that he thinks are being slept on.
All right. This list was probably the easiest to make, if you asked me. The quarterback, because I just do not understand some of the ADPs this year and some of the rankings on ESPN. It's been pretty crazy to look at. But my number one quarterback is a guy that just got paid a lot of money. Tua Tagovailoa. QB number 19 on ESPN. I think he finished as 11 last year. I mean, you think about Tua, you think about the Dolphins and one of the best offenses in the NFL. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike McDaniel calling the plays. I like Tua a lot. Do I expect him to be much higher than 11 or 10? Honestly, probably not. I think he can finish right around that range again. But he also could be a fringe top 5 guy, and I would not be surprised because that offense is that explosive. And I think Tua, took away all the injury concerns you had for him last year, played every game, really had no injuries or, mishaps with that concussion issue that he had going into the season. And, Tua at QB 19, that just feels very, very easy. And, honestly, given what my draft looks like in other positions, I'd feel comfortable taking him as my QB1. Because, Tua is just that good of a quarterback, and that I feel like he's that safe of a pick. So I love Tua.
Finished at QB 10 last year, getting drafted at QB 14 this year, round pick 105. So I'm right there with you, man.
Other people are looking at that and they're like, that ESPN's wrong. My number 2, though, another guy that coming off a great season, NFC Championship appearance, Jared Goff, number 20 overall, right behind Tua at the overall position. And I love Jared Goff a lot. I think he has an awesome connection with Amon-Ra. Sam Laporta looked incredible. Still got Ben Johnson calling your plays. He also just got paid as well this offseason. That O-line got paid. They kept them intact. Jahmyr Gibbs, year 2. You expect him to take another step. And apparently they're still using him all over the field. Jameson Williams, maybe this is the year he finally, stays consistent. Who knows? That if there is an issue with the Lions and Jared Goff, it is that there really is not a solidified wide receiver 2. But whenever you have a tight end like Laporta, you can kind of compensate for that. But Jared Goff being quarterback 20, that's another guy that I absolutely love this year.
Finished at quarterback 8 last year.
8.
And if I'm not mistaken, he finished pretty high the year before.
Probably, yeah. He's been really good. He's been really good.
Hang on, and I'll tell you where he finished at the year before.
Yeah, there's really 10. Okay.
Finished
that's right.
at 10
so
the year
10 and 8,
that.
But we're gonna put him at 20. Okay.
Yep. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, I'm right there with you on Jared Goff. He's not on my list, but he very easily could have been.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you'd probably talk about him. He's just one that we'll end up talking about before the season.
Yeah.
But going around pick 107, let's see, looks like around the 13th or 14th quarterback off the board.
So right there with Tua.
Literally back to back.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you. I like Jared Goff a lot as well.
Yeah.
And also, just a little caveat, 7th easiest strength of schedule right now.
And as we mentioned last episode, plays 14 of his games
in the dome.
That's awesome. My last one, my least favorite quarterback on this list, and he's the quarterback of my favorite team, Derek Carr. I don't love Derek Carr. I don't even love him this year as a Saints fan. I pretty much lost all faith. But we did get a new OC. We do have Chris Olave back. We do have Rashid Shaheed and another year in the system. And I think the overall just offensive system, it can't be worse. I think it's got to take some type of step. And last year, with the bad system, with everything going wrong, with Carr missing a couple games, he still finished as QB 16. So you got to expect he can't be QB 29 this year. Like there's no way it's going to be that bad.
Yeah.
Maybe the O-line does get him killed, and he doesn't even play half the games. Who knows? There's a lot to hate about Derek Carr, but for him to be 29, that feels pretty crazy. Like that, I think he should certainly be in the top 20 at least.
Yeah, I mean, he could easily be a bye week fill-in or a backup if you're wanting to take a chance on a rookie. And, I mean, it wouldn't be the best backup. He probably wouldn't be my first choice, but you could do worse. But what does concern me about him is they did not go out and get any weapons.
Yeah.
And now we're having problems with depth because of injuries. I'm so glad they let Michael Thomas go. But, Lord, if you'd have told me you weren't going to replace him with anybody but Cedric Wilson, I would have told you to keep Michael Thomas. I mean, I just don't get it, man. I thought they were going to bring somebody in from somewhere. But no, I'll take Stephon Diggs on the sideline chirping all day over nobody,
Yeah, that is definitely a bad thing. But, I mean, as you said, last year, it had these same weapons pretty much, and he still finished 16 somehow.
That's right. But another thing is Dennis Allen, the head coach. Yeah. I don't think we make any offensive improvement until he's gone.
Yeah,
I don't care.
But I think
the OC could help.
Kubiak's going to help for sure.
I think the OC could help. But I think it eventually boils down to Dennis Allen's going to have to be out of there before we see an improvement. Yeah. But I'm not giving up on him, but I can't pick him as a sleeper anymore.
Yeah.
But you're right, where he is going, he is definitely being overlooked.
I'll take him over Bo Nix and Russell Wilson for sure.
Definitely. So, yeah, I understand that as well for sure. Now, that was your third one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So my number one is one of Clay's favorite players of all time, the famous underwear model, Baker Mayfield from Tampa Bay. All right, guys. So, first off, you want to talk about a guy that played well last year, finished at QB9. Okay. QB9, and now he's being drafted around QB21. Okay. And not only that, his team didn't even change. And they drafted one of the best rookie wide receivers in the draft. Not one of the best, but a very good rookie wide receiver in the draft in Jalen McMillan. Still got Trey Palmer, who was a good draft pick from last year. Rashad White, they drafted another really solid running back. I mean, he's got weapons galore in another year to get comfortable in this offense. I don't know. I don't understand it. But he's going around pick 154. Oh, excuse me, guys. That's Baker Mayfield. Love him. People sleeping on him. And honestly, he's somebody you could pick and pair with another guy that you could pick and pair with one of these rookies earlier that you might not be comfortable with. And you might end up starting Baker over them half the time, So I like Baker Mayfield a lot. He's my number one. Number two for me has got to be Will Levis. Clay had him on the breakout episode, and I'm just sitting here man, that's a sleeper to me. Yeah. The dude is going at quarterback 23 or so off the board around pick 172. But still, that just means we get to talk about him some more because Will Levis is in a great situation. And not only that, I was talking to a buddy of mine that was over here tonight, probably why I'm halfway hoarse because we got fired up talking about fantasy football. But he was over here and we were talking. He said, tell me what you think about the Titans. I said, well, my goodness, they're set up for success. Yeah. They get an offensive coordinator as their head coach from the Cincinnati Bengals for the last 5 years, one of the best offenses in the NFL. Then they get the offensive coordinator for the Titans as the quarterback coach in the Rams offense for the last 3 or 4 years. We know what Sean McVay teaches folks. I mean, he's got his own coaching tree coaches out there by now.
Yeah.
And so that's what you got as coaching in Tennessee.
And you
Then
also got the O-line coach as well that came from Cleveland.
And then they supposedly got the best offensive line they've had since Derrick Henry won the rushing title.
Yeah.
So then you got DeAndre Hopkins, you got Calvin Ridley brought in, you got Tyler Boyd brought in, you got Tajay Spears, you got Tony Pollard, you got Czech Okonkwo. Like, people forget Czech Okonkwo essentially is David Njoku 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's where Czech Okonkwo is. He is an extremely superior athletic tight end that catches the ball well and runs the ball well. And he has not been utilized to his capacity until yet. But I have a good feeling that is somebody that we're gonna see a little bit more and learn to know his name a little bit more as the time goes. But still, and then you got Will Levis, who was endorsed by Derrick Henry, endorsed by DeAndre Hopkins last year. Endorsed by Vrabel before he got kicked out, So this guy, these people are rallying around him, and he's just this rookie. But I feel like somebody, and he's very athletic, very strong, stout, athletic guy. And then my buddy that was here tonight, he said, what I noticed about him is he just looks like he plays 110% every play. And man, if that ain't a guy that you think can take the next step, I don't know what you can. But he's got all those factors working in his favor. And then not only that, the third easiest strength of schedule. So Will Levis, like him, is a sleeper big time this year. And then my last one, also not my favorite one, Clay. I like how you threw that out there because he is not my favorite one. But this guy actually just got thrown on this list within the last couple days. And that is Sam Darnold from Minnesota. And everybody's like, Sam Darnold, what? Okay, hear me out, guys. So Sam Darnold is going after Drake May, all right, just before Gardner Minshew at around quarterback 33. You heard that correct. There's only 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, guys. All right, and Sam Darnold's going after quarterback 32. He's going around 33. But Sam Darnold is the starter in Minnesota. And J.J. McCarthy has done torn his knee up. He is done for the year. And the only putting pressure on Sam Darnold is Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins ain't started a season ever in his life. And he's only started games because of injury. He ain't started because he's ever won a quarterback battle. Okay? So Sam Darnold is in an extremely positive situation for him and his career. He's got the best wide receiver core he's ever had. He's got the best offensive line he's ever had. Because remember, he was in the Jets when they were terrible. Okay? He's got the best offensive coach he's ever had. He's got the best coaching personnel. He's got the best cult. He's probably got, I don't remember who his running back was when he was there. If it was
for the Jets,
it was Dalvin Cook. No, I'm sorry, I'm tripping. Not Dalvin Cook. My goodness. It was yes, it was for the Jets about 5-6 years ago.
Michael Carter for a little bit, maybe.
No, it was before him.
I don't know. Someone that
Bilal Powell.
Oh yeah, maybe Le'Veon Bell for a little bit.
And Le'Veon Bell, that was his running backs. Okay, so he had a decent running back core, but that was it. He had a really good defense that all they had to do was put up 6-8 points. I don't know if you remember Revis Island, but that was right at the end of Revis Island. But that was still when the Jets defense was studly. But anyway, needless to say, he's never been in a positive offensive situation as a starter, like starting the season out, and he is now. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. He's getting drafted around 227 guys. You could, almost free in some drafts. Okay. And I think that he is somebody that he's probably going to finish top 20. He might finish top 15 if he is the starter all year and stays healthy with Justin Jefferson, not to mention TJ Hawkinson coming back. Okay. With Hawkinson, and then you got Addison, and then you got Jefferson, and then you got this rookie they've been talking about, Jalen Naylor, that I've been hearing about. So he's got all these weapons. All he has to do is get him the ball. and they'll make him look good. And I think that's very possible that could happen. So I like Sam Darnold in Minnesota as a sleeper this year. And that's going to take us into running backs. So let's hear about some running backs, Clay.
Let's see. Which list am I at? Sleepers running backs. I'm pretty sure you have this one as well, or you have him on a list. J.K. Dobbins.
Oh, yeah, he's on this list.
Yeah, I absolutely love J.K. Dobbins this year. He is at running back, 37 on ESPN's draft list right now, and I think he's going to be awesome. Now, there's obviously a big question. Can he stay healthy? Who knows? Honestly, he might not, but whenever he does stay healthy, he consistently wins the running back room over, and he consistently plays well.
Yep.
So I'm going to take my chances on that behind a very good O-line with Greg Roman at OC, Jim Harbaugh, or John, whichever one it is, at head coach. You know the kind of offense and mentality that they're going to try to bring. And J.K. Dobbins, I think he's set up pretty well to have a lot of touches this year.
Fourth easiest strength of schedule for running backs, also, by the way.
Sounds about right.
Yep, and he's just another little nugget. He is literally getting drafted after rookies that are not even expected to play.
Yeah,
Blake Corum and Trey Benson, who are the third on the depth chart on their teams. He's getting drafted after them at around RB 42, around pick 132. Okay.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins, dude. I mean, Clay hit it all the notes. The only thing he doesn't have going for him is health and Justin Herbert being healthy. That's about it. Because he's battling that plantar fascia. But when we have seen him behind a good offensive line like he was in Baltimore, it didn't matter. That was back when Lamar wasn't throwing the ball a ton and they didn't have great wide receivers. So they knew they weren't going to throw the ball anyway. And he was still dominant, okay? And I know he's coming off injury after injury, but like they said, he's already said it. He feels the healthiest he has felt since he's coming to the league. And he is the healthiest he's been since he's coming to the league. I think every year he's been coming off an injury forever.
Yeah. Or he gets hurt.
People forget he's only 25, okay? I'm right there with you, man. And not only that, his only competition for touches is Gus Edwards, and they have plenty to go around. But he's already beat Gus Edwards out before for a starting job.
Yeah,
and he's healthier now than he was then. I'm pretty sure he's going to beat him out again. So anyway, I'm right there with you, man. I'm a big J.K. Dobbins believer this year. He is on my list. He will be on probably 90% of my teams, if not 100%.
Oh yeah, every time I can get him, I'm taking him.
Yeah, I'll be reaching down for him.
Yeah.
I'm that firm of a believer in him. I will reach for him for sure. So love that pick. Go ahead, keep going though, Clay.
My second one is a guy that, kind of an interesting one because how long will he be the sleeper for? I don't know. But Jerome Ford, Nick Chubb, whenever he does come back, obviously will be running back one. But I do feel like they're going to try to keep multiple running backs involved, as we've seen in the past with Kareem Hunt. He was always the guy that took some breather off of Chubb, and now that Chubb has had another injury like this, I do think the Browns keep it that way. Jerome Ford, every time he gets to play, he plays pretty well. He had a good season last year, and Cleveland continues to have a great O-line. Just a good offensive system overall for running backs, and for Ford to be a 41st overall running back right now, a guy that, for at least probably the first 1 or 2 weeks, you're going to have as a starter, I would say. And then after that, I mean, what I keep looking at, Kareem Hunt was playable pretty much his entire time. I don't really see why Jerome Ford will not be. And
love it.
Yeah. So I love Ford there. And then my other one is a guy that you had on your breakout list. It is Rico Dowdle. I mean, we talked plenty about him last time. We know the situation. Running back 59 on ESPN's rankings right now, which is, undrafted territory pretty much. Behind guys like Elijah Mitchell. Like, come on now.
Going just after J.K. Dobbins.
Really? So people are reaching out for that, which it also is the Cowboys. So, people are going to, reach a little bit further for players of that uniform. But Rico Dowdle, we've said it all. It's him and Zeke, and we don't really trust a lot of Zeke. And, even if Zeke gets 10, 15 carries a game, I still feel that, Dowdle's 10, 15 touches are going to be a lot more impactful and a lot more necessary with an offense that's kind of begging for playmakers, honestly. So,
yep, like it a lot for sure. Y'all heard me talk about Dowdle on the last pod. I'm not going to talk anymore. And then y'all heard me talk about Dobbins, but my three guys are actually all lumped into one little section in this draft around RB 42 to about RB 46. They're in that range. And all these guys I feel like are getting slept on. But number one for, well, I say number one. I don't really have these in a specific list because they're all pretty. J.K. Dobbins would be my number one, but I don't have him as my number one. But he would be my number one on this list, and then after that, probably be Ty Chandler, just for the fact of in a great situation in Minnesota. We've already seen him be successful in Minnesota, right? Yeah. Aaron Jones comes in. It's Old Man River. Let's see. Let me just double check his age before I tell you wrong. 29 years old. He's had a slew of hamstring injuries. I'm not saying, you can't bank on an injury, but Aaron Jones, can you tell me the last time he had a healthy season? I really can't remember. And but either way, Ty Chandler he played so well in Minnesota at the end. I was really kind of surprised they didn't just draft somebody and try to let him take over. But they didn't. They brought in Aaron Jones, who could just be a passing down specialist. And there's a lot of rumors from beat writers and analysts saying this is going to start out as a 50-50 timeshare from the beginning between Jones and Ty Chandler. And Jones is going, let's see, as RB 18 around pick 55. Chandler is going around RB 46 at pick 155. 100 picks later, bro. All right. And they've got a solid offensive line. Quarterback play, but a good offensive coordinator that's creative. They're going to get him the ball. He looked good, like I said, last year. Let me see. He wasn't the RB for the whole year last year, so that's hard to gauge. But when he got the opportunity, when Madison was out, he did well with it. And anyway, I think he's got a good chance, especially if something happens to Aaron Jones. I think he's somebody that you definitely want on your bench, and he might even have some flex value for you if he gets more opportunity than what people are thinking. So that's now so that's Ty Chandler on my list for Minnesota. And then number two will be Chuba Hubbard from Carolina. Okay. So everybody knows they drafted Jonathan Brooks with their first pick, right? Well, Jonathan Brooks still ain't played or practiced yet. They don't expect Jonathan Brooks back until at least week 3 or week 4. Okay. And Jonathan Brooks is getting drafted around the 28th running back at pick 84. Okay. Chuba Hubbard, the starter, the RB1 right now, getting drafted at pick 44, around pick 145. And we've already seen what he can do. He was RB26 in PPR last year. He's got the third easiest strength of schedule this year. They're going to give him the ball. He's only 25 years old. And he's not super flashy or nothing special. He probably only averaged around 12 points a game. But, that is solid flex value. Like, if you told me I could draft a guy and he was going to give me 12 points every week, I'd throw him in my flex every day of the week, okay? And this guy's going so late. He's a bench player for you, but he is he is definitely flex worthy for at least the first 4 to 6 weeks. And that's if Jonathan Brooks comes back on time. And we got to remember, he's not practicing or nothing. Then he's got to get up to speed on the offense and get the chemistry with the quarterback, in the offensive line. And there's so many things that Jonathan Brooks is missing out by not being there in camp and practicing in these preseason games. But he's being drafted like he's the starter. And it's Chuba Hubbard. who's getting drafted way down here around pick 145. So Chuba Hubbard's on my sleeper list. And then also, like I said, J.K. Dobbins. And then that's my sleepers, Ty Chandler, Chuba Hubbard, and J.K. Dobbins at running back. So those are some guys that I really like. And I think that wraps up our running backs, Clay.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go ahead and jump right on into your wide receivers.
All right. Well, my number one is just it feels wrong having him as a sleeper, but he certainly didn't fit any other. He wasn't a breakout, and he's not a bounce back. He's so low, and he's not in the top 30 that I just felt like I had to include him. And it's one of my favorite wide receivers, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, I just feel is being way undervalued. Wide receiver 33 right now on ESPN, which, I mean, he's coming off of a top 10 finish, I believe, last year, one of his best years of his career. Going into a situation, yes, DJ Moore is out there, but if you've watched Hard Knocks, it just consistently looks like Keenan Allen's just always open. They actually made a joke that the only time that he doesn't get open is when Jalen Johnson is guarding him, and luckily Jalen Johnson's on his own team. And Keenan's going to get a lot of cornerback 2 matchups this year with DJ as being the one. And I also just feel like, with a rookie quarterback like Caleb, you're going to go for that guy that's just always open, those reliable possession receivers, and that's what Keenan does best. He's had pretty good health the past 2 or 3 years, honestly. Those seem to be in the past, hopefully. But for wide receiver 33, player looks like 68 off the board. Man, I'm all over that for Keenan. I love him this year, and I like I've mentioned with Caleb last episode, I like this Bears offense to be pretty fantasy relevant.
I like it.
And then my number 2 is another guy from the former Chargers that are in different new homes this year. Mike Williams, going at wide receiver 48 right now for the Jets.
He almost made my list.
Yeah, think about that Jets wide receiver room. You got Garrett Wilson, obviously, and then who else? Mike Williams got to be the number 2 whenever he's out there. Now, yes, I think you have more injury concerns with him than you do with Keenan, which is kind of crazy to say because Keenan's reputation is always that he's hurt. But Mike's been pretty hurt as well. But whenever he is out there, he's a pretty big playmaker. And I think that's something that Jets offense can use and that Rodgers will use a lot whenever it happens, whenever he's out there. But I think this is a situation where Mike has all the talent in the world, and he just kind of needed that fresh start. And he's at a fresh place now, an offense that looks really good. And I think that Jets team, I didn't want to believe in them, but we actually broke them down last episode for the Dirty Boot Sports, just the main podcast. And man, that schedule's pretty easy. I think they're gonna be really good this year, and I think Mike Williams is certainly going to finish higher than 48 for wide receivers.
Yes, 7th easiest strength of schedule for a wide receiver. So.
Yeah. And then my last one is a guy that we talked a little bit about last episode. It's Curtis Samuel. Now, yes, there is Keon Coleman. There is Khalil Shakir. There's Kincaid. There's Cook. But Curtis Samuel is a guy that I feel like always does pretty solidly wherever he goes. Yeah. In Carolina, he had some pretty good years where I would say he was actually fantasy relevant. Didn't really turn out to be what he was supposed to be in Washington. You kind of thought he would take that next step, but he never really did. I like the player that Samuel is, and I like the fit in this Buffalo offense. Now, is he going to be a guy that, is he out there every time there's a 1 or 2 receiver set? Probably not, but I think most of the time where they're going to be in those 3 receiver sets, you're going to see Samuel in that slot. And I think that's where he's going to do most of his damage. And I feel like there's got to be someone that's going to step up from this room. And I think this might be the chance that he finally takes it over. So I like Samuel a lot. And, even if it doesn't work out, for him to be wide receiver 56 off the board, I feel like he's going to finish somewhere better than that. And it's worth the shot for a guy that might be wide receiver 1 for that team.
Yep. I like that pick a lot, man. I like all those picks, honestly. Keenan Allen, the only one, he's just really early. But like you said, he doesn't apply to any of our lists.
No.
So it's like
he can't break out. He can't bounce back because he was awesome. But, I mean, for him to be a 33 just feels like a sleeper, man. And honestly, whenever I was looking at the list, Amari Cooper at 31 feels kind of crazy too.
Well, we're gonna talk about him a little bit
Okay.
later too.
Okay.
So, but not on this list. So anyway, but yeah, so I like those guys a lot. Some of my sleepers, I've got some pretty deep guys, all the way. Most of them are around 163 to about 184. But first one on my list has got to be Darnell Mooney from Atlanta. I mean, and you talked about him earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, he was on my breakout list.
Yeah, so going wide receiver 66 around pick 181, guys. The wide receiver 2 in this Atlanta offense that is supposedly going to pass like 40 times a game, okay? And you got a third-year wide receiver in Drake London, third or fourth-year tight end in Kyle Pitts. You got Kirk Cousins divvying it up. You got Bijan Robinson, but like Darnell Mooney is 26 years old, been in the league, a little while. He's had a chance to be the number one wide receiver on his team in Chicago in the past, like we talked about, but also the fourth easiest strength of schedule. Okay. And like Kirk Cousins is coming in fresh. So it's not like Kirk Cousins already has chemistry with all these other guys, and then Darnell Mooney's coming in fresh. Like, they're all building chemistry together. And if there's one thing I've learned, wide receivers and quarterbacks that have a lot of experience can get on the same page a lot quicker than some that don't have as much experience. Now, Pitts and London have some experience. They got a couple seasons under their belt, but they've also been in Arthur Smith purgatory and having a carousel of quarterbacks since Matt Ryan left. So I feel like it's going to be easier for Mooney and Kirk Cousins to get on the same page, and maybe Mooney be more relevant. I've heard a lot of good buzz from beat writers and analysts talking about Mooney, picking Mooney as a sleeper because everybody's forgetting how good he was. That's why the Bears were comfortable with him for a couple of years being their wide receiver 1 because he was that good. Now, the quarterback play didn't help him out any, or the offensive coordinator, but he has that type of potential. And I like him going at pick 181. He's my number 1 sleeper. Number 2 for me is Gabe Davis, somebody who we've seen be very productive at the wide receiver position. Leaves Buffalo. Great position there. And sometimes, wide receivers leave, they go into not so great positions. But I believe Gabe Davis possibly went into a better situation. You got Josh Allen, probably a little bit better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. But you come into a possibly better offensive system coming up with Doug Peterson. And you've got Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley that just left. You're stepping into their target load. Okay. You got Christian Kirk, who they're wanting to move back to the slot. So it's going to be Gabe Davis out on the outside with the most experience, okay? And then they drafted this rookie, Brian Thomas, high. That's supposed to be the man. Well, the rumor is he's not even going to win the wide receiver 3 job. It's going to be Parker Washington, the rookie from last year. So, like, Gabe Davis is coming in as the undisputed wide receiver 2 with Christian Kirk, who's playing out of the slot. I mean, we're talking about a lot of opportunity here for Gabe Davis in Jacksonville. And then his strength of schedule is the 8th best for a wide receiver. And, I mean, I know a lot of people have been burned by Gabe Davis in Buffalo because he's a boomer bust type wide receiver, and he could still be that. But if you draft Gabe Davis at pick 163 at the 61st wide receiver, and you get Calvin Ridley from the Jaguars from last year, which is what he very well could be easily, be Calvin Ridley from last year, I think you're pretty happy. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I like Gabe Davis a pretty good bit. Let me see where Calvin really finished real quick before I do that. Wide receiver 24, okay, last year. Just saying. Anyway, so, yeah, like Gabe Davis a lot. And then last but certainly not least, this is a rookie right here that I've been on all offseason, and I'm hoping he continues to hear good stuff. But Jalen Polk out of New England. You want to talk about a wide receiver room that ain't got nobody. Freaking New England's wide receivers, my goodness. Nobody. And you're talking about a big physical guy, about 6'1". I mean, I thought he was taller than that. What's Sleeper have him as? Yeah, 6'1", 203. For some reason, I thought he was bigger because they were talking about how big he was. And maybe it's just how he plays. I don't know. Yeah. But he's got great hands, very good at contested catches, okay? And that's somebody, like, when you're going to throw down the field for big plays, you're going to be more comfortable as a quarterback throwing to somebody that you know is going to very good at going up and coming down with that ball. But also they're talking about how, like, if you throw it within his reach, he's grabbing it. And some of the best wide receivers in the league, that's one of their biggest attributes, is talking about their hands are like freaking, sticking on them. That if you get it in there, they're grabbing it out of nowhere. And he's already made some awesome catches in practice. Just not a ton of people around him right now. He's not listed even as a star. Well, actually, I take that back. Sleeper has updated their rankings, and Jalen Polk is now the wide receiver 1.
Nice.
On Sleeper's rankings. Okay. It was not about 2-3 days ago. I looked, he was wide receiver. He was second. He was the second, I don't know what you call it, on the depth chart I think it was wide receiver 2. But now he is the one on wide receiver 1 ahead of Demario Douglas, Javon Baker, KJ Osborne. Okay. So there's all these guys that didn't really work out anywhere else, and then a couple rookies in New England. But this guy had a 1,000-yard season at Washington last year. If I'm not mistaken, like 8-10 touchdowns, somewhere in that. But he's getting drafted at round pick 184, guys. Okay. Not as great as strength of schedule as some of the other guys, but 11th overall, which is not terrible. Jacoby Brissett's coming in to be the quarterback to start with, and then possibly Drake May. But either way, we've seen Jacoby Brissett be a very comparable, help me out here, Clay. A very efficient,
serviceable backup, serviceable quarterback. Yes,
serviceable quarterback. Thank you, Clay. And we've seen him come in and be that. And honestly, Jalen Polk just needs opportunity. And if there's any place you're going to get it with a starved wide receiver room, it's going to be New England. They're not going to throw the ball as much as other teams, but when you don't even have a wide receiver 1, and if he is your wide receiver 1, and you get a wide receiver 1 at pick 184, I mean, is that not a sleeper? I'm just saying.
Yeah, for sure.
So, anyway, like Jalen Polk a lot, and that's my last wide receiver, and I'm going to have to take a drink of water before we keep going. So we'll go ahead and jump on into our tight ends, Clay.
All right, let's see. Tight end sleepers. These, I think I somehow was able to keep all out of the top 20 for ESPN's 20 rankings. And, it's tough looking at a sleeper for tight ends because none of these guys will probably finish top 15 or top 10. But, hey, they might be solid fill-ins here and there. My number 1 is Cade Otton. They have him listed at 25 right now. I don't know what he finished at last year. I would probably say top 15. He had a solid season.
Let's see, 20.
Oh, okay. He had some touchdowns here and there from Baker.
But he had some big games, and there was a lot of hype around Cade Otton last year. A lot of people thought he was going to take a step forward. And I think it still could happen because he's got a lot of talent. But anyway, keep going, Clay.
Good connection with Baker. For 25 overall, not a bad choice at all. So I think that's a good one right there. Number 2 is Daniel Bellinger from the Giants. One that the year before last, before Waller showed up, he wasn't a bad tight end for the Giants. And then I think he might have gotten hurt, and then plus the Waller situation.
He got poked in the eye, and it detached his retina, and he had to have surgery, and he was out for like 8 weeks.
Yeah,
anyway,
pretty crazy.
Go ahead.
But I mean, for tight end 31 and an offense that behind Malik Neighbors certainly doesn't have another solidified weapon, Daniel Jones. He's played with him before, so maybe there's some connection there that will get rekindled. And for 31, I wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 20 guy at all this year. And then my last one is Hayden Hurst in Los Angeles with the Chargers. He's been around a while. Certainly not incredible. Whenever he first got into the league, I think people kind of thought he had that top 10 type potential as a fantasy tight end. And he might have had one of the finishes at one year. I don't know. But he's been around for a little bit, been in, Baltimore, Atlanta, Cincinnati, good offenses.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this Chargers offense is in a situation where, they also need a playmaker to step up. And, maybe this is the time that Hurst gets to finally do it. That's my three.
I like that. Gerald Everett's gone, so Hayden Hurst is the man. I like those picks. Man, you went deep, bro. Like, you went deep.
Yeah.
So, kudos to you. My guys ain't even that deep, but I did pick some later guys. Some guys that really had a lot of success last year, and I feel like they're just like toss the wolves. And they're actually going at 19, 20, and 21 off the board. I just realized this. All three of them are back to back to back. And they're all going around 183 to about 198 in the draft. But number one for me has got to be Tyler Conklin for the sheer fact. So he finished tight end 18 last year, and that was without Aaron Rodgers. But also for the sheer fact that, like we talked about, you've got Garrett Wilson. Now you got Mike Williams. But who else do you got catching the ball? And Breece Hall out of the backfield. But, like, as far as we've seen Rodgers use his tight end several times before, and we've seen Tyler Conklin be very serviceable. And he's going around tight end 20, around pick 186. And I think with Rodgers healthy and them having an abundant, they're going to throw the ball with Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, last year they ran the ball probably a lot more than people were anticipating because they didn't know what to do with their quarterback situation. And, I can't blame them. But when Rodgers is in there, you think they're going to run the ball that much? No. They're throwing that ball 40 times, son. Rodgers didn't come in to hand the ball off. He came in to throw that ball. And I think that more throws, more opportunity. I like Tyler Conklin a lot for the Jets. Number two for me is going to be Hunter Henry. Somebody that's already done. Last year he had several good games, and then still coming in, more opportunity. Really a big red zone threat. He had Mike Gesicki there with him in New England last year for a short period, and then eventually beat him out, and he was just kind of catching touchdowns here and there, throughout the year, and then he ended up getting hurt toward the end of the year. So he missed 3 games, but he still finished around tight end 17. But he ended up catching 6 touchdowns. I don't know, man. I just feel like Hunter Henry, with Mike Gesicki out of there, I think this is his chance to step up. We also all know Jacoby Brissett likes to throw the ball to his tight end. We've seen it before when he was in New England. That's something else. I'm pretty sure he was there when Jacoby Brissett was there before, and he had some chemistry with him. So, like Hunter Henry in New England, and then also Mike Gesicki in Cincinnati. Everybody knows Joe Burrow likes to look for that tight end whenever he gets down in the red zone, and Mike Gesicki is a very athletic and good pass-catching tight end. And so I like him a lot coming into New England. C.J. Uzomah and then Irv Smith are gone. So it is the Mike Gesicki show. And then somebody told me the other day that Mike Gesicki was in on like 85 or 90% of the plays that Joe Burrow passed on in the game. So he is out there when Joe Burrow's throwing the ball, Mike Gesicki's on the field. And that's what you want. And so I like him a lot, and he is going right now around tight end 21, around pick 198, guys, okay? And then I do have one little bonus for y'all. I had to throw this guy in here. I was waiting to see if Clay said his name because if he didn't, I was going to say it. We're going to go deep, guys. I'm talking about the back 40. We are talking about the 41st tight end off the board, around pick 316, okay? 316. But y'all remember this guy's name, okay? Because I got to throw him out there because I think he could have more. He might be he might have more chance of being a top 15, maybe even top 10 than anybody on this list. And that's Colby Parkinson for the Rams. Okay. So Tyler Higbee is out still with a knee injury that he suffered late in the season. And then the Rams have signed Colby Parkinson to a 3-year deal, not a 1-year sign just so we can get by deal, a 3-year, like $44 million deal. They signed 25-year-old Colby Parkinson from Seattle. And if y'all remember, last year, Colby Parkinson had some decent games where he had several catches and some touchdowns. And the thing about Seattle was you had Noah Fant, you had Colby Parkinson, you had that other guy, I can't remember his name. Clay might help me out here in a minute. But there was like 3 or 4 tight ends that got playing time. No, in Seattle, because that's where Parkinson was last year. He was in Seattle.
Yeah.
And
Fant, Disley.
Yeah, Disley. So you had Will Disley, Noah Fant, Colby Parkinson. Like, you had tight ends all over the place there in Seattle, vying for targets. So now Colby Parkinson is the man. He is the tight end one for the Rams. And we all know Sean McVay likes to use his tight end. Matt Stafford likes to throw to his tight end. I mean, I know we got Cooper Kupp there. I know we got Puka Nacua there. But Tyler Higbee did it with those guys whenever he was healthy last year. So there's no reason to think Colby Parkinson can't. And I don't know. I remember watching a couple games when Colby Parkinson caught the ball. He is a good pass catcher and a deceptively good athlete, which, I mean, he's an NFL, athlete. But I like Colby Parkinson a lot, as y'all can probably tell. He's probably somebody that I draft. If I ever go 0 tight end, like just wait till the end, I might draft him my last pick in a couple drafts this year. So I like Colby Parkinson a lot. So that's somebody else to keep an eye on as a sleeper. So
yeah,
and I think that's going to round us out, Clay. Anything else you want to throw in there?
No, I think we got it all covered.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate everybody listening. Please go like, subscribe, follow us on all your streaming platforms for your podcast of choice. Please send us some comments. If you want us to help out with your fantasy team, let us know. We more than welcome to give our 2 cents. And we just appreciate everybody listening. Thank you for our sponsors. Thank you for sponsoring us. Y'all go support them because they support us. We appreciate that. And y'all keep chasing that trophy.
This ain't how it's supposed to be. It should be just you and me.